This mine was owned by the Phillips family here in Beckley. They opened this mine up in 1890 and they mined it for 20 years. They mined it till 1910. 1910 they shut the mine down and it sat idle for over 50 years. Around 1962, the city of Beckley bought the property and opened it up and started doing tours such as this, and they've been doing tours ever since. Now the coal seam that the family discovered and was mining in this mine, you see this black streak right here? Right, it goes all the way around here, and then on that side over there, it's a little thicker. This seam is called the Sewell seam, S-E-W-E-L-L. It's a soft bituminous coal. One of the benefits of the soft bituminous coal is that it has a high BTU rating, meaning that it burns hot. So they were mining the coal primarily to sell it as house coal to people. Because back in those days they used half that coal for heating stoves and cooking stoves in the houses. The seam thickness is 28 to 36 inches thick. The working height of the mine, where the miners would have worked, would have been 28 to 42 inches high. So they were working on their hands and knees most of the time when they were in this mine. Now when the miners, well, in those days, they called it the pick and shovel days, they called it the hand loading days. Some miners even called working in low coal like this a scratch back mine because you were scratching your back on the roof because it was so low. The only way during that time period that I know of to get the coal out from between the rock was use black powder to shoot it out and pick and shovel, which I'll show you over here later exactly how they had to do it and what they had to do. When they came to work here, they came to work here for a wage. The wage was based upon 1 ton of coal. They got paid 20 cents for 1 ton of coal. They were required, or on average, each miner to get 10 ton in a shift. A shift was 12 hours, which meant daylight till dark. That's the time period they spent in the mine. They used animals to move these cars, loaded and empty cars, in and out of this mine. They could use horses, they could use mules, they could use burros, ponies, teams of dogs, teams of goats. But that's how they got it back and forth in the mine. Back in the 1800s, you see this thing right here, these two, what we call rails? Well, those are not rails. They're made of wood. They didn't have iron back in those days in the 1800s, so they used wood to make the railing so that the cars could roll on it. Nowadays you can look at the track, we have rails in it. But that's how they got it in and out of the mines. Now when the miners were paid at the end of the month. Usually miners got paid, they didn't get paid actual money, they got paid what they called scrip. Scrip was a coin that each company would stamp that would have their logo on it. It could have a denomination on it. Usually it was from 1 penny to $5, just like currency. But that's what they would get paid in. They didn't have really hard cash. Miners that worked in this mine, whatever tools they needed, picks, shovels, axes, powder, clothes, food for their family, they had to buy it at the company store, because most coal camps back in those days that people lived in, there was one central location and that was the company store. But you had to pay for everything. They didn't give you anything. But that's how they would get, that's what they would get paid with. Now coming into this mine to work, in any coal mine, even today, there are hazards. There were hazards back then. And they had to be able to detect them. Fire boss. A fire boss is an individual today that's certified in the state to where he works at to be able to come into a mine and inspect that mine to make sure it's safe for people to work and travel in the mine. We inspect this mine every morning. This mine is open 7 days a week, and we come in at 8 o'clock and we do an inspection. We walk all the roadways and travelways, tracks that we're going to take customers to come in, such as yourself, to make sure it's safe for us and you guys to come in. Miners back in those days may not have had a fireballs, but they had to be able to detect certain things in the mines to make it safe for them. And what they would use was certain gases in the mines. They would use a canary. They would put a canary, buy a canary, and put it in a cage like this. And the canary would be set in the working place, close where the miner was working, to detect that. And the gas that bird was going to save that man's life with, the gas that was going to kill him, is called black damp. Black damp is called oxygen deficiency also. Black damp, you can't smell it, you can't taste it, you can't see it. It's heavier than air, so it lays on the bottom. So if I'm in 42 inches of coal working and black damp could occur, then I would want something to be able to detect it. Black damp occurs because of bad air. You don't have enough circulation of air in the mine to keep it cleaned out. Well, this bird, as long as this bird was singing and doing what a bird does, the miner knew that his air was good, so he didn't have to worry about black damp. But if the bird ended up dead on its back with its legs up in the air and it wasn't sleeping, that meant that there was bad air and he needed to get out, because black damp will kill you. What it does is that there's 19% oxygen in the air you need. And when the oxygen level gets down below 16%, the miner would get dizzy, he would get lightheaded, and then he'd want to sit down. And then as the oxygen level kept going down, they would find him dead, because he didn't know what was happening to him. So this bird saved a lot of miners' lives because of it. That's the way they did it.
Is that a real bird?
No. It's a wood bird. Nowadays, or back when I started in the mines in 1972, we used this. It's called a flame safety lamp, or a possum light, but I don't know why they call it a possum light. But the way we would check this light, there's two gases we checked with this in the mines. Methane. Methane is a gas in a mine. It can come out of the coal, it can come out of the bottom, it can come out of the top. It's lighter than air, so it's going to go to the top. That's where it's going to gravitate to and settle. And the way we would check that, we would take this flame safety lamp and we'd put a flame just like that right there, just a little blue cap that you could see it. And then we would take it towards the top, about 12 inches from the top, and then we would walk along the working face of the working place or room where we was at to check for methane. If there was methane in that little blue flame would start to rise, and you could see it grow. And when you seen it, you knew that you had to get out. You got to get fresh air in, because fresh air is what pushes the gas away and makes it safe. Black damp was different. Black damp, we put the flame a little higher, because for that flame to burn, what do you have to have?
Fire.
Oxygen. Got to have oxygen. So black damp is oxygen deficiency. So what we would do, we would take it, if we was checking for it, we'd drop it down towards the bottom. If it would go out, we'd light it again, check it to the bottom again. If it went out, then we knew we had issues with black damp. We knew we needed to get out and get fresh air in.
What's black?
It's oxygen deficiency.
How about the black lung disease?
Oh, the black lung disease?
Yeah, can you get them in here?
Not now, you can't. We're not mining coal. You only get, when you start generating dust from shooting coal and cutting coal, that's where you get the dust. We don't have that dust in here. Nowadays they use these types of things, detectors, and they detect a multitude of gases. You simply put it up here, push the button on it, and it'll tell you what your oxygen is, your methane levels, everything. How did they see? Miners came into mine, there was no electricity in the 1800s, and they didn't have lights like this. This was one of the first lights they used, and it's called a tea kettle lamp. This little thing right here, you put fuel in the top of it, and put a wick or a rag down the spout, you light the end of it, put it on your hat, and that gives you about 1 hour of light, about as much light as a candle. Not much light, but that's what that thing was. You could use kerosene or coal oil to put in it, but that would have cost you at the company store. I think they probably would have used bacon fat grease or lard grease. Everything was fried back in those days. Then they came up with this light, and this is a carbide light. They call it a carbide light because you have to take calcium carbide to use as your fuel for it to burn. And when you take water and put on calcium carbide, you get acetylene gas. And when you get your gas going off that with the water, then you have to light it. Try it again. Well, shoot.
You got it.
There it is. But this light right here, the more water you put on it, your flame is supposed to get higher. For some reason, this thing's not working like it's supposed to today. Okay, turn your phones off.
Turn phones off.
Turn your phones off. Turn your phones off.